It feels like horror has been making a comeback in recent years, hasn't it? We've had some great hits in 2025, and by the looks of it, 2026 is looking up to be even better. These are 10 horror movies to get hyped about for 2026. Super excited for this one, The Backrooms. Yes, we are getting a full-on Backrooms movie directed by Kane Pixels, who made that legendary internet short. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about though, The Backrooms started as like an internet creepypasta. The idea is that you can clip out of reality, kind of like glitch through the walls of the real world, and then you end up in this endless yellowish fluorescent lit maze of empty office rooms, and the rooms just go on forever. All the carpets and walls look the same, and the air hums with this weird fluorescent buzz. It doesn't sound all that creepy talking about it out loud, but watch the original short after this video, and I think you'll get the appeal. So now we're getting a movie, an A24 movie no less. Now, these things don't always translate well. A really great horror short can turn into a total mess when you try to expand it into a feature. Lights Out, was one of the best short horror films ever made, but the movie version was a major disappointment. And in the case of The Backrooms, which relies so much on the unknown and unexplained, trying to stretch an idea like that out into a full-length movie does risk over-explaining things and revealing too much, thus ruining what made it work in the first place. So I'm cautiously optimistic here. Another good sign though, Mark Duplass is part of the cast. You probably know him as the killer from Creep 1 and 2. Amazing actor, writer, and director. We don't have a set date for this one, but it's dropping sometime in 2026. Next on the list is Send Help. Saw the trailer for this sitting in the theater for Predator Badlands. Had no idea where this was going. At first I thought it was just going to be about a woman dealing with a toxic work environment, and I guess that's partially what it is, but oh boy does it take a turn. First off, it's a Sam Raimi movie, so I'm instantly interested. That guy could direct a movie about paint drying and I'd still show up at the theater. He has had his flops. I'm not big into the MCU stuff he was doing, or like Oz the Great and Powerful, but in terms of horror, the Evil Dead series, come on. So this one stars Rachel McAdams as Linda Little and Dylan O'Brien as Bradley Preston, co-workers who survive a plane crash and end up stranded on a deserted island. Thing is, Bradley is Linda's terrible boss, and now his leg is busted, so Linda has to basically keep him alive. But will she? To the best of my knowledge, it's Lord of the Flies meets Stephen King's Misery, directed by the guy who made Evil Dead. Safe to say, this one will get pretty messed up. This one's hitting January 30th. I love my monster movies, so I am very much looking forward to this next one, Werwulf, directed by Robert Eggers. Same director as last year's Nosferatu, The Northman, The Lighthouse, The Witch. Not one bad movie to his name, and this is another period piece, so I'm hoping it's gonna have that beautifully dark, gothic horror aesthetic. No trailer for this one yet, as it's not coming out until next December, so long wait, but it is set in 13th century England and follows a mysterious creature stalking a foggy countryside. And Eggers has called this the darkest script he's ever written. Stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Lily Rose Depp, and Willem Dafoe. And really great detail, they'll be speaking Middle English in the movie, so it'll have that extra layer of authenticity. I always love it when movies go that extra step with the dialogue. Filming has been happening all over England and Wales. I'm just looking forward to some eerie fog, dark forests, and fingers crossed, some practical effects for the werewolf. I don't know, in my opinion, it's not a real monster movie if the monster is CG. It's supposed to be the star of the show, and it's just CG, not even on camera? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Sticking with the Universal Monsters, we also have a remake, or reimagining, I guess, of The Bride of Frankenstein, simply called The Bride. That's kind of cool. We've had so many iterations of the Frankenstein story. We just had the Guillermo del Toro version this year, but The Bride of Frankenstein, that's kind of cool. We got Maggie Gyllenhaal behind this one. She's writing, directing, and co-producing it. Jessie Buckley stars as the bride. Christian Bale plays Frankenstein's monster. Peter Skarsgård is in this as well. Jake Gyllenhaal and Penelope Cruz. A pretty stacked cast. It's set in 1930s Chicago. Frankenstein's creature convinces Dr. Euphronius to build him a companion. They bring a woman back to life as the bride, and things spiral out of control. It'll be interesting to actually see the bride doing stuff. The Bride of Frankenstein is such an iconic Universal monster character, but she's only on screen in her movie for about 4 minutes. That was all we ever saw of her. Out of all the Frankenstein Frankenstein movies they did back then, she never shows up until now. Actually, there was a 1985 film called The Bride starring Sting, but nobody remembers that movie. Admittedly, this one does look more action-oriented than I would hope for. I like more atmosphere in these kinds of movies, but who knows? Could be cool. This one hits theaters on March 6th, 2026. We're getting another 28 years later movie as well. This one looks pretty nuts, pun intended. If you saw the last one, you know what I mean. We don't have long to wait for this. 28 years later, The Bone Temple comes to theaters on January 16th. Directed by Nia DaCosta and written by Alex Garland, this is the 4th installment in the series, and it's already set up as part of a planned trilogy. DaCosta filmed it back to back with 28 years later, making sure the story flows directly from the last movie. The story picks up in a Britain still shattered by the rage virus. Spike, a teen on his own mission, gets pulled into Sir Jimmy Crystal's gang of deadly acrobatic killers called the Jimmies, while Dr. Ian Kelson, played by Ralph Fiennes, starts a new relationship that could have massive consequences for the infected world. Alright, this one I wasn't ever expecting. A remake of the hit 1995 classic you all know and love, The Ice Cream Man, starring Clint Howard. Not saying it's a bad movie, The Ice Cream Man, it's fun for what it is. I just wouldn't ever expect to see a remake of it. The reason why this one's really on the list is because it's a slasher. They don't really make them much anymore. Horror movies nowadays, they're all psychological and sophisticated. Not a bad thing. It just feels like that's all we get now. And sometimes, I just want to watch a bad guy hack people up. This one's also being directed by Eli Roth, so we'd be pushing the boundaries of taste. In Roth's own words, I've had this idea for a long, long time, and studios were too afraid of my early drafts. Now, it's the time to push the envelope farther than ever with what I think will be my most terrifying and insane film to date. For Eli Roth, that is saying a lot. Next up, we have The Mummy. Every Universal horror monster is getting a new movie in 2026, apparently. The Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and The Bride, and now The Mummy. All it's missing is The Creature from the Black Lagoon and another Dracula movie, but they make a new Dracula movie like every other month, so the chances of that are high. Anyway, Lee Cronin wrote and directed the film. It's produced by Jason Blum and James Wan under Blumhouse. Blumhouse can definitely be a hit or miss, but when they do hit, they hit real good, so fingers crossed. This will actually be the first Mummy movie not produced or distributed by Universal since the Hammer series from 1959 to 1971, so it's a completely new take on the story. Here's hoping this is a good new take, not that horrendous Tom Cruise Mummy movie from 2017 tried to kick off a Universal Monsters cinematic universe in the same style of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, it makes me queasy just thinking about that. I'm glad the 2010s are over. Anyway, plot details are still under wraps. That's what I did there, but it's being billed as a supernatural horror film, so not a bunch of video game style CG crap, hopefully. This one's coming out April 17th, 2026. Next movie on the list is called The Young People. Not a lot of info on this, but it's coming out sometime in the new year, and it's directed by Osgood Perkins, and that's a good sign, because he's come out with a couple really good movies recently. Longlegs in 2024 and The Monkey in 2025. Two very different movies in terms of tone, but both really odd, interesting movies. So he's on a bit of a roll. There's a bunch of people I don't know in this, which is always great. I love seeing new actors in movies, but there are a few big names too. Heather Graham, Nicole Kidman, and Johnny Knoxville. Has he ever done a horror movie? I don't think so. So that'll be interesting to see. Moving outside of Hollywood, let's talk about The Whole 309 Days to the Bloodiest Tragedy. What a title. Reminds me of Salo or the 120 Days of Sodom. And if this movie is anything like that, it'll be puke-inducing. Written and directed by Hanung Bramantyo, this Indonesian horror is set in the 1960s in a village called Lubang Buaya. It takes place where a series of grisly unalivings happen on the 30th of every month. Each victim is found with holes in their body and strange messages carved or written on their faces. The film is inspired by the real-life theories surrounding the 30 September movement of 1965, when 6 Indonesian army generals killed during a failed military coup. The director said he was influenced by movies like Seven, The Wailing, and Ringu, so you do kind of get a sense of the tone this one's gonna hit. It'll be dark. Finally, we have the next entry in one of my favorite horror franchises of all time, of course, Evil Dead. This is the follow-up to Evil Dead Rise, which I thought was pretty solid, so I'm looking forward to this one. Evil Dead Burn, the third Evil Dead movie post Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and the 6th overall in the series. Although Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are still producers, so they're not out of the picture altogether. together. This one is being directed and co-written by Sebastian Vanchek, a newcomer. He's done a couple shorts in a movie called Infested in 2023, so this is his breakout movie, and Raimi liked Infested so much that he personally hired him to direct this, so high praise. Filming wrapped up in New Zealand in October, and this one is set to release on July 24th. I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.